your memoir has value. Another thing that I like about writing your memoirs, people can say all kinds of things about you, right? Good, bad, otherwise, false, true, doesn't matter. Most people, don't bother to find out the facts. So one thing about writing a memoir is that you can control the narrative. You can say, hey, this is who I am. This is who I was. And you might even want to tell some things that you haven't been able to tell anybody ever verbally. And yet you can do it in writing and say, I never told you this, but yada, yada, yada. There's many veterans. I'm a veteran myself, and many veterans don't talk about their military service, especially if they've been in combat or war, and they've kept all these stories to themselves. And I was helping to videotape some oral histories for veterans that are going into the Library of Congress, into the archives. It was a project that was going on, and people would sit down and talk about the battles that they were in, and what their jobs were in the service and so forth. And so many families said, we never knew these things. You never shared these things. But we would give a copy of the disc to the veteran as well as to send it to the Library of Congress. And sometimes veterans are afraid to talk about these things, afraid that people won't understand. In many ways, unless you're really triggering something really bad in terms of if they have suffered from PTSD, something like that, then actually being able to talk about these things, which they haven't been able to talk about for years and have been inside for year after year, might be very helpful and therapeutic for a person to be able to share that. So after spending some time with my memoir and talking to people, I thought, you know what, I want to write an 85-page guide to help people learn how to write their own memoir. So I wrote an 85-page guide called Memoirs Matter, Learn How to Write Yours. And in there, I illustrate and show you how to use the approach that I used to write your memoir. For example, I talk about the 4 building blocks that you'll need to gather, that you'll need to come up with to write your memoir. For example, you need to come up with a theme and a title, a format, some story prompts. I give you story prompts, ask you different questions to kind of get your thinking going and to, bring your memory back a bit. Sometimes just you might not have thought about something for years and years, but I'll ask a question and you go, oh yeah, I forgot about that. And number 4, to talk about vital statistics and how to go about getting some of those things. And then I also talk a lot about a 12-step process that I put together. So if you follow that process step by step by step, you're going to be a long ways towards completing your memoir. I talk also about putting together a table of contents. I talk about putting together a writing plan. I talk about making yourself accountable to other people to say, okay, how are you doing on your writing? One thing I really, really encourage people to do is to make this a family project. This might be a good conversation piece for your grandchildren, even to say, grandma or grandpa is writing a memoir and I need your help. And you might ask them things like, what would you like to know about me? And don't be offended if they say, I don't know. But the point is, you decide in the end what you want to share. And you might want to share lessons learned. You might want to share funny stories. Sometimes people just write a book with all the funny stories that they've heard throughout their life. It can be humorous. It doesn't have to be all this serious stuff like kind of comes across that way today. So there are many obstacles towards writing a book, writing a memoir, and part of this is not wanting to face your own mortality or your regrets. So let's talk about that for a minute. You know, none of us are going to get out of this alive, bottom line, and it's going to happen. One day we will die. But I tell people, you know what? I want to live until the day I die. And some people spend their whole life worrying about one day when it's going to happen. It's like such a waste of time, I think. It's like, look, it's going to happen. Why spend your whole life worrying about it? And just accept it and write a memoir. Give you something to do. Some people have a lot of self-doubt. I could never write a book. I could never do this or that. You know, I wrote mine when I was in my early 70s. I'm 74 now. And with the way that my approach to writing a book about doing a theme is, you can write more than one memoir. Like you might, you know, my theme, for example, was, um, you know, never giving up on your dreams. I graduated from college at 54. I joined the Peace Corps, like I said, at 60. After that, I spent 7 months on a hospital ship in Madagascar. After that, I worked with Samaritan's Purse, and I traveled all over the world, filling in as a finance manager, an international finance manager. And, you know, you might also think, well, you have nothing, you know, oh, your life didn't matter. Baloney. You matter to a lot more people than you think. And they would be happy to hear about your life. Sometimes people think, well, I'd get writer's block. You know what? Some people claim there is no such thing. You're just lacking inspiration. And your inspiration will come out of knowing why this is important. It's more important for other people. It's as important for other people as it is for you, right? It's not just about you. It's about those that come after you. So I really, really want to encourage you that having spent our time together today will inspire you. You know, you matter and your story matters, and the world needs to hear it. And between my two books, you have an example of one that's already written. Dream on, the alarm clock of your life hasn't gone off yet. And you have an 85-page guide to help you put yours together. So I hope that I really believe that our time together has been of great value. And I hope that you will take action up on it and not just say, well, you know, whatever, I'll get to it someday. The clock is running. You still have time. The alarm clock of your life hasn't gone off yet. So, you know, if there's something more you want to do in life, go for it. You know, now's the time. I heard something a while back that said, someday is not a day of the week. Someday is now. So I hope that you'll write this book and have the joy of a completed project that you can hand over to your family, plus many other people even beyond that. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. Thank you very much.